Good evening, you're watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. First, the headlines. The Sultanate condemns the terrorist attacks which took place in Kuwait, Tunisia and France. John Kerry meets in Vienna with Zarif to reach a historical deal on Tehran's nuclear program prior to the determined deadline. At a total cost of 4 million Omani riyals, the work continues in the construction project of 8 stores in the Public Authority for Stores and Food Reserve in the Governorate of North Batna. Those were the headlines, and now for the news in detail. The Sultanate condemned the terrorist attacks which took place yesterday in Kuwait, Tunisia and France. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs issued the following statement. The Sultanate strongly condemned and denounced the 2 terrorist attacks that targeted 2 hotels in the Wilaya of Sousse in Tunisia and a gas factory in the French city of Lyon and a mosque in Kuwait, which caused a number of deaths and wounded several others. The Sultanate affirms its condemnation for these odious and terrifying terrorist attacks, which contradicts with all human values and principles. It renews the call to concert efforts of all regional and international powers to combat dangerous terrorism phenomena which threatens all the world and humanity. The Sultanate expresses its sincere condolences to the families of innocent victims, wishing the wounded a quick recovery. The Tunisian government announced its intention to ensure touristic locations by spreading security armed units on all coasts and inside hotels. Meanwhile, after yesterday's attack, hundreds of tourists flocked to the airport to fly home today. Many tourists said they felt unsafe in the country after a gunman attacked the resort in Sousse. The Daesh group claimed credit for the attack. The attack was one of 3 from Europe to North Africa to the Middle East that followed a call to violence by Daesh extremists. According to the Tunisian Prime Minister, the victims included many Britons, as well as Germans, Belgian and French. Thousands of people in Kuwait took part in a mass funeral procession today for 27 people killed in a suicide bombing that targeted a mosque a day earlier. Police in Kuwait said they are interrogating a number of suspects with possible links to the suicide bombing, which was claimed by an affiliate of the Daesh group. An Interior Ministry statement today said police arrested the owner of the car that was used by the bomber to drive to the Imam Sadiq Mosque in Kuwait City, where he detonated his device inside among the worshippers. The government helped plan today's mass funeral for those killed. Kuwait's Deputy Prime Minister and Interior Minister Sheikh Mohammed Al-Hamad Al-Sabah was quoted in the official Kuwait news agency describing the bombing as grotesque and vowing to cut the evil hand that tampers with the country's security. Syrian Kurdish fighters secure the town of Kobani near the Turkish border, killing more than 60 militants of Daesh 2 days after the hardline group launched a deadly incursion with suicide bombers. The Syrian Observatory mentioned that the Kurdish fighters brought reinforcements to the city and seized positions of Daesh militants, which led to clashes that left a number of dead and wounded among Daesh fighters. In the governorate of Al-Hasaka, the Syrian army attacked positions and buildings captured by Daesh militants, killing and wounding tens of them. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry met today in Vienna with Foreign Minister of Iran, Mohammad Javad Zarif, to reach a historical deal on Tehran's nuclear program prior to the determined deadline, amid main differences on reducing Iran's nuclear activities in return for easing sanctions. The differences include gradual easing of economic sanction on Iran and monitoring mechanisms to ensure that Tehran will not violate any deal. Still to come in our news bulletin. Surf schools are making waves in Senegal. news from the Sultanate of Oman television. At a total cost of 4 million Omani riyals, the work continues in the construction project of 8 stores at the premises of the Public Authority for Stores and Food Reserve in the Governorate of North Batna, at storage capacity of around 40 million tons. It came to keep pace with urban development and population increase, as to cover governorates of North and South Batna, Musandam, Brahmi and parts of Dhahra. The project is expected to be completed by the end of this year. With this project, the number of stores will increase to 13 stores and 4 temporary stores for 6 main food commodities. Within the context of enhancing the national economy, developing the trade exchange and creating job opportunities, the Logistic Zone project in the Governorate of South Batna comes to support government projects to enhance the infrastructure of the logistics sector. The significance of the project lies on diversifying sources of income through enhancing the potentials of various transport systems such as ports, airports, roads and trains, and supporting shipping storage and cargo handling operations on the domestic and international levels, in a way that creates new markets for local products and supports the promotion of the Sultanate as a promising investment hub for various sectors. The Sultanate's gross domestic product, GDP, at current prices increased by 4.6% during 2014 as compared to 2.4% growth registered in the previous year. The hydrocarbon sector registered a decline of 2.4% in GDP, while non-hydrocarbon activities witnessed a growth of 10.1% during the year. Annual inflation rate measured by movements in the average consumer price index for the Sultanate stood at 0.41% during January to April 2015, over the corresponding period in 2014. The total assets of conventional commercial banks increased by 9.5% to 26.5 billion riyals in April 2015 from 24.2 billion riyals a year ago. Senegal has always been known as a surfer's paradise, but only recently have locals discovered the thrill of surfing. More details in the following report.
700 kilometers of coastline, a capital exposed to waves the whole year round. Senegal has long been known as a surfer's paradise. But despite being popular with travelers, it's taken a while for locals to get on board. Now Dakar boasts 8 surf schools attended by youngsters like Nora and her friends.
It's good. There's a nice sensation and we have fun in the water. We don't always have to catch a wave. Like now, there are no waves.
Nora is towed by 37-year-old Omar Say, one of Senegal's surfing pioneers. Born in a poor fishing district of Dakar, he learned to surf with foreigners and became the first Senegalese to sign a professional contract. He now runs a surf school, encouraging young enthusiasts to take up the sport.
We lack the support of the sports minister, so that the federation has the means to hold national competitions, because the national competitions help us find the best surfers to represent the country in other competitions. It's the sports minister who needs to act. It's the minister who must be strong.
But surfing is expensive. A board costs at least 150 euros, 3 times a monthly minimum wage. The country's surfing federation counts on clubs and local surfing champions to democratize the sport.
It's true that they don't all have the latest surfboards, but the clubs, and particularly the Ngorowa clubs, do all they can to provide youngsters with the material to allow them to progress.
Bodyboarder Emric Senghor organizes an annual competition, but locals are outnumbered by foreigners since many don't get taught how to swim.
It's clearly easier if you already know how to swim. That's where we have to teach more people, to help more Senegalese discover the ocean, learn how to swim, and discover the joys of bodyboarding or surfing.
As judges mark the surfers taking part in the competition, Senegal itself hopes to get top marks, not only for attracting foreigners, but also for raising a new generation of surfboarders here.
now for the general weather forecast. Partly cloudy to cloudy skies will prevail over the coastal areas and the nearby mountains of the Governorate of Dhofar, with chances of intermittent drizzles. Rest of the Sultanate will have clear skies with accumulated clouds pushing towards the governorates of South Sharqiya and Worcester. Winds will be southwesterly moderate to active along the coasts of Arabian Sea, while it will be northwesterly to westerly light to moderate, occasionally active along the rest of the Sultanate. Seas along the coast of Arabian Sea will be rough with a maximum wave height of 5 meters, and rest of the coast it will be moderate with a maximum wave height of 2 meters. This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. The Sultanate condemns the terrorist attacks which took place in Kuwait, Tunisia and France. John Kerry meets in Vienna with Zarif to reach a historical deal on Tehran's nuclear program prior to the determined deadline. At a total cost of 4 million Omani Rials, the work continues in the construction project of 8 stores in the Public Authority for Stores and Food Reserve in the Governorate of North Bulletin. With that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom and the studios, it's good night.